Welcome back to Great Squadron Gaming. We're here at Gencon.
Woo! It's exciting.
Hopefully you can hear.
Hopefully you can hear. Hopefully the new mics really improve this. But it's the biggest North American gaming convention by far. Welcome, Will.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
For those who don't know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Will Shick. I am the co-head of studio for Atomic Mass Games these days.
Perfect. Man, they really simplified your title.
They did. They did. I technically still have my old title, but
I missed your old title.
It's a lot easier to just say co-head of studio.
Well, now that you're here at Gen Con, what's some of the things or something you've seen that excite you? That's you're here at the convention.
Oh my gosh.
There's so much to choose from.
I've mostly just seen the interior of the Asmodee Business Lounge for where we have all our business meetings. But no, it's been really exciting to watch players get their hands on Marvel Crisis Protocol alliances. Obviously, a big thing was we stealth dropped the starfighters into the case.
Yes,
those actually came with me, so I had to shepherd them on the plane, get them here, and then we set them up.
Did you have them like in a locked briefcase with like a
just a normal little army bag, you know? But like when they went through security, I did watch my first, like my backpack with all my clothes came through, no problem. And then I was sitting there waiting. I'm like, "Where's that green bag?" And I looked over and I saw the TSA person like just staring at the screen, like doing the enhanced thing. And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna flip the coin and we're gonna see if I have to like take it to the side and open it up for him to show him what it is." But it came through. It took about 4 minutes, so I think they were getting a really good look.
That's good.
Yeah,
I posted all the pictures online.
Oh yeah. The very first Gen Con we came to when we announced Marvel Crisis Protocol, though, Dallas actually brought all the miniatures in a case, and he had it triple padlocked because we hadn't announced anything yet, right? So it was like one of those things where we had to be, super secretive before the announcement. We didn't want anything to get out, so even the TSA agents like checking it would have been a problem. And he's like, "I'm bringing NDAs in my back pocket. If they tell me they have to look at it, I'm going to make them sign one." He's like, "I don't think you can do that, but you can try." Luckily, they didn't care. It went right through, so it was no big deal. But yeah, we've had the padlock thing before. Not this year, though.
That's good.
Perfect.
That's good.
This is the first place that alliances have been for sale, at least early.
Yeah. So this is the big pre-release.
We got more demos than we had at DEF CON. What are you hearing from people? How does it seem to be received so far in the Gen Con end?
People seem to be pretty excited about it, which is great. Like, we've watched a lot of people do the demos, have fun with it. Obviously, people have braved the Asmodee line, which has been nonstop the whole
huge. I'll pan to it at some point.
Like, to go get the game. So that's been really great. I'm excited to see more people get to play it, see it out in the wild, watch what people do with it. And I think it's going to be a great launch for us and something that's going to be really additive to the overall like AMG catalog and the Marvel experience. So hopefully folks who like weren't quite into the skirmish game will find something really great with the Alliances game and the co-op stuff and everything. And
it's a great drug of entry. Like, come on in.
The
water's warm.
We have one friend who likes co-op games more, so we're going to get him in with that.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about the Green Goblin sculpt. I think that sculpt looks
awesome.
Glorious.
They all look good, but that one looks...
All of the new Sentinel stuff,
yeah,
that looks really good in the case over there as well. So
yeah,
I'm really excited for that expansion.
Just the engineering and the sculpting that was done on it. The scaling has, like, the anatomy has kind of changed a little bit because obviously with press fit to make the keys work, you have to have more thickness.
Right.
And what we found as we kind of worked through it, the engineers and the sculptors were finalizing those sculpts, is that a little bit of extra like muscle, a little bit of extra mass really makes those characters pop. And we loved it so much that we started applying it to the non-fast miniatures thing. So there's going to be a little bit of a shift as we move forward, just like there was with the new core set CP-143 Earth's Mightiest. That was kind of a moment where we started to really redefine or perfect the AMG style of Marvel. And now this, Alliance's kind of moment is another step in that. So it's really fun to kind of watch the evolution and the improvement of these lines as people get better and better at being at their artistic endeavors, and we understand the engineering more and all that stuff, and the teams just come together to continually improve. So that's been really exciting. I'm very interested to see how that will affect some of the Legion stuff, because we are working on some fast Legion stuff as well.
Oh, excited to see that.
For some future releases and some products that we have in the hopper. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah,
I'm excited to try it out. I haven't got to try out the fast.
Oh
yet.
yeah, well you'll have to let me know how it goes.
We have the Alliances. We picked it up in the booth, so we're gonna try it.
Be out.
I can't wait to see
We're
it.
gonna try it out on video.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. We had Rich Mid Gaming. He got his copy a while ago. He's done a couple of videos and stuff. But I got to talk to him a little bit. He took his Green Goblin to an MCP tournament.
Oh, really?
And he's like, I didn't glue it. It was all just the press fit. And I was like, how did it go? And I was like, and he's like, no, it went great. 4 games, full time, and he's like, and it got handed around like the new baby at a family reunion. So like, and it didn't fall apart at all. I was like, yes, they did it.
Awesome.
I told the engineers right away. I was like, you guys did great.
That's fantastic.
Because they've been sweating for a while. You know, you can test something as much as you want, but like we always talk about with game rules, you never know because there's going to be so many hands on it. So seeing it, seeing our experience repeated is always very beneficial, right?
For sure. Yeah, we're really excited to get our hands on it. And then you mentioned you dropped the Starfighters, which I put pictures on all our socials. That X-Wing, first of all, looks amazing.
It looks like it jumped right out of the ILM studios in like 1977, right? It's crazy.
And even when you're walking up, they have a display case. If you haven't seen it, check our socials. But when you're walking up from afar, you see the X-Wing first. And as you get closer, you start seeing the units.
It is the presence for sure.
It is so cool to see from afar.
It's when that miniature came in from Aaron Lovejoy, who painted it, and they pulled it out of the box. I was there when they were unpacking it. And it was like this moment where like Tony lifted it up and we're all just looking at it. He's like, is that from the Lucasfilm like archive? Or is that? He's like, no, this is ours. And I was like, oh my God. And then he put it in my hands and I thought for a moment, this job isn't worth it. I could just take this and leave. Because it ignited something. Like I was 4 years old again watching Star Wars New Hope for the first time. It's so good. I just the amount of detail and just the way he was able to replicate the exact like scoring and marks and the chipping and the weathering, like it looks like a movie prop, not like a miniature. It's incredible.
He did an awesome job.
Yeah, it's wild. And then when I pull it out of the case to leave, I gotta pull off the canopy and then I'll take some pictures of the interior because they have fully detailed interiors. But as I kind of explained on the Discord, the studio minis have the fully painted canopies because we can't prototype clear.
Yeah.
So the way in which we do it on the boxes is we have just like the canopy frame, and then our master photographer does a little bit of after effectsing to make it look like it's got a clear canopy.
Okay.
But yeah, there's multiple pilot options for each of them. There's like fully detailed interiors. We got a couple of our 2-unit options for the X-Wing. So like there's a lot of customization options within it too that, you know, if you're really into kind of that scale modeling part of it and, you know, replicating all that, it's going to be a pretty big joy for hobbyists in general to work on.
That's
if you're
awesome.
me, though, I'm a savage. I'm just going to be like, nah, just paint the canopy.
That will be me.
Yeah.
That will be him for sure.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to ask any rules or anything for it, but I'm assuming these will fit into a standard game of Legion. That's going to be a big question in Discord. Like they're thinking it's only going to fit in the Grand War.
Nope.
Okay, so it will fit in standard Legion. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a field allowance 2 as far as like what you can take. It's a brand new unit type, obviously. So
flyers.
it's gonna if you want to be crazy and go that way, you can. You know, just like the heavy slot. But they'll work in all forms of Legion. Obviously, taking them is gonna limit your selections in other places because of the point values and things like that. But our big goal is to make sure that they function across the entire game. Now, obviously, if you take them in full-scale war, that's like an epic experience, and it really fits the pattern. So I'm sure they'll be popular there. But we saw a lot of really great different playtest games and some different army build compositions. We watched the 2 starfighters on each side, like epic dogfight kind of thing. We watched the 2 starfighters versus no starfighters. A lot of players by the end of the cycle were really like falling down to like taking 1. And then there were a couple of like specialized builds that took 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, the players that were playing with Admiral Trench really liked taking 2 because Trench happens to, unsurprisingly, work really well with flyers as an admiral himself.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully we're going to see a lot of different adoption rates and players doing different things, but they are completely balanced with standard Legion in mind.
That's great. The base is very cool too. It's like an EX essentially, and it's clear. And I was talking with another AMG, and he says it can move, so you can place it differently.
Yep. Yeah. So it effectively uses office chair technology, where you think about the office chair and how the wheels like spin and everything. Yeah. So one of our big things when we started working on the flyers in general, and the idea of bringing them into the game, is that we were really committed to trying to figure out how to make them feel the most like they were flying as possible, knowing that our limitation was they don't fly, they have to be grounded to the ground somehow. So we talked a lot about what we'd seen in other games, how other miniatures game manufacturers had managed them, what we liked about that, what we didn't. Our big thing was, we knew that the bigger the base was, the less options you were going to have to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And we didn't want the flyers to be something that were just like a token that never wound up on the table. You have these great centerpiece miniatures. They're going to be awesome and epic. Players are going to put a lot of hobby time into them. We want them to be flying circles around the table and be a really strong presence on the board. So the idea that, you would put it here and then it would just fly across in a straight line and not really interact with anything, to us wasn't a great solution. And so that led us to have a lot of conversations about the base. And one of the things that we started is we were talking about, I was like, well, what if we just got rid of all of the material you didn't need? Right? And so I grabbed a couple of range rulers and made an X, and I was like, something like this, right? Like if you make a cross, it'll kind of work. But then Pagani was quick to point out, he's like, yeah, but even if you do that, that cross is still going to stop you from being in spots. And I think I was being kind of an ass. And I was like, because he's like, there are moments where you're having these conversations and somebody says something and it's perfectly logical, but you're just like, I'll show you. And I just took my fingers and I spun it. And I was like, not if it spins. And I kind of wasn't serious, but then of course that started the conversation, like, well, what if we could make it spin? Right? How would that work? And so we had Dallas Chem come up. We kind of gave him the lowdown on what we were talking about. We explained the spin thing. He was like, how would we really do that? Let me talk to the engineers. So he took that to Kevin, our engineering manager, and then Marco, Evan, and the rest of the team got involved. And so they really started to iterate on like, okay, it's a good concept, but how do you take that concept and make it real, right? Coming up with the idea is pretty easy, but how do you actually make it function? And so they went through a lot of different permutations. Obviously, we still had to have firing marks on the base. So you have to know like the orientation because they do work similar to vehicles in Legion. So like, I think players have already noticed that there are firing marks on the circle. So that was an extra complication for Brookhaven because it was like, well, it has to spin, but also it can't move. And he was like, what do you mean it has to spin, but it can't move? I was like, I'm not a dev, man. You can yell at Pagani about this.
Figure it out.
So they iterated on that. They came up with that. The devs had input on like gameplay requirements and things like that. And at the end of the day, we wound up with a prototype base that when we started to really play with it in a lot of different situations, it's like, yes, you can't place them anywhere you want, but the amount of opportunities to place them in more places than we normally see in a lot of miniatures games that use flyers in this way became huge. And so that was really exciting to us because it meant that we had really opened up possibilities and opportunities to do stuff. And from there it became like, okay, part of the challenge or the skill expression of using flyers is understanding like how to keep them on the table and place them. So one of the big things is like they can fly off the table. But then they'll come back, right? But you're gonna
strafing runs.
But you're gonna lose the turnaround is that you lose them off the table until they come back. So the thing that became really fun and with playing with them was like you got better and better at piloting them to keep them on the table as long as possible. And of course that's difficult because they can only make so many turns and all that stuff. A lot of ways in which we've seen flyers implemented
minimum
in the past.
Speed or something.
Yeah, and they have minimum speeds because they're very fast and this kind of thing. So all of a sudden, like what players I think are going to find as we get more and more into the rules is that it becomes, you feel like the pilot. And for us, the thematics playing out on the tabletop is always really important. And whenever we kind of hit that theme, it becomes really exciting. And to watch Dursum and Shirley, our two playtesters, like dogfight each other on the table while also doing these things. And they were like, you could really just see them getting into it and thinking about the moves 2 turns ahead and trying to like do things that normal dogfights would require, like, cutting off the circle and getting in on the inside. It was really cool. And they were just having a blast. And then we saw that go with the playtesters too. So it was a really fun process to be able to kind of realize, and I'm very, very excited with where we turned out. I think they're going to be a really awesome, fun option for Legion. Obviously, the other big thing you always want to be careful of is that they wind up in a spot where they are a choice, not a requirement, right? We don't want every Legion army to have to take a starfighter if you don't want to. So that was the other kind of like shift is like, okay, how do we make these things powerful and impactful, but not something that everybody has to take? And if you don't take them, then how do you combat them? Can you do things that are meaningful and deal with them in a lot of different ways?
Yeah, we saw the one new upgrade, which takes blast in the flyers, it gives you bonus, so that makes sense.
And there's going to be a couple more of those that are coming. Obviously, flyers have limitations as well that you can play around. So overall, I think we're going to be in a really, really fun and exciting spot for them. And ideally, we're going to be in a situation where like they're going to add a lot to the game, and we're going to get to see more of the iconic ships in the future.
That's awesome. I'm just excited to walk through like this tournament hall and just see the table presence as you walk up, and you just see like X-wings and stuff flying around.
Just see X-wings and TIE fighters just hovering above a battlefield. It's going to look
It's going to look so good.
Speaking of Legion being in a good place, Mando's dropped, what, 6-8 weeks ago?
Yeah, a little bit.
Something about that. How have it been on your guys' end? On our end, we've seen the uptick in viewers, new subscribers, lots of new people joining us, so thank you very much. But it's been great from our end.
I mean, from our side of it, I think, the only lament is the fact that they were so popular that a lot of people didn't get a chance to grab like the box or anything. We are working on a reprint, so normally
That's great.
those special edition army boxes are one and dones, but because we just know that the demand wasn't quite fulfilled and there's a lot of people who are still very excited to get it, we decided to do a special reprinting of it.
That's awesome.
So that is in process. Obviously it takes a few months to get that, but hopefully we'll see that near the end of the year. So if you didn't get your opportunity, don't fret.
Maybe ask
you'll get another
Santa.
shot.
Yeah.
Ask Santa. He might bring it on his sleigh. So that was amazing for us. It was one of those things where we always knew it was going to be very popular. We talked to our Asmodee partners and distributors and stuff. We're like, look, this is going to be a huge thing. It's the biggest thing to come to Legion for a long time. We're really excited about it. We know players are going to be excited about it. Mandalorians are huge right now in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, in all that way, it's been really fulfilling. It's been awesome to see people be so excited about the ability to really put themselves and their hobby into the game in a way that we haven't really seen, where you can create your own clan and you can do these mixes and matches and all of that. I think it really proves the formula of where we want to go in the future. And the most terrifying thing about the success of the Mandalorians is, like, I'm like, well, all right, we got to do this again, but better next year. And so, we're already talking and getting prepped up for the Adepticon 2027 reveal.
Perfect.
And we're taking bets in the office as to whether we're gonna beat Mando's in reception or not. But
That's a high bar.
it's a
you
high
guys
bar.
set,
I
for
know,
sure.
I know. But I think we'll see. I think we're gonna do it. I think we've got a pretty big surprise
That's
for folks.
a bold statement.
I know.
Sam.
I'm
I know.
excited.
I've put my money on us achieving it. There are a couple folks like, I don't know, man. Mandos they're hard to beat. Like, well, if anything can do it, I think it might be this thing that we're going to announce next year. So we'll see.
That's pretty exciting.
Are we doing another mini strab in November-ish this year?
So we'll have a bunch of info. We've got some pretty cool videos and stuff that are going to be going up for the flyers and everything around mini strap time. I don't know if we're going to do like a solid day, or if we're going to kind of spread it out and just do like a bunch of info drops.
Mini things, yeah.
Yeah, because like one of the things that we're finding as we're going back to more and more shows and we're able to like communicate with people in person and stuff is that the whole concept behind Mini-Strap was born from that COVID time where we couldn't get together and we couldn't have as much in-person contact, and we were kind of all isolated to our thing, so we wanted to find a way digitally where we could all come together. But now that we're able to do that more effectively, right? We're evaluating like how best do we drop information. Also, we've talked a lot about wanting to make things more surprising. So like the B2 Super Rocket Droids, right?
That was a big
That was
surprise.
such a fun thing to be like, yeah, we didn't mention it at all at Adepticon. All of a sudden it comes out and everyone's like, what is this? Where did this come from? It's similar to how we did the Mandalorians. We surprised people with the Mandalorians and then they came out not a couple of months later. I think
that is fun.
It's very exciting for the community to not have a full idea of what's going on.
Right.
And we're in a place now where I think players know that we're fully committed to the game. They've seen the proof of our actions with that, and so we're able to kind of hold more things back. And that also kind of goes into the whole like, well, if you have a big announcement at the quarter 3 of the year and quarter 1 of the year, there's not a lot of room to leave surprises because you need good content for both. So maybe doing something a little less, extensive in the fall, really focusing on that Adepticon time as the big things, and then having those surprise drops throughout the year. We're really starting to jive with that, and we're seeing really good response from the community. And so I think we always want to be looking forward, not just backwards, right? How do we deliver a better experience? How do we deliver more excitement and more enjoyment for the games and all of that stuff, and maximize the messaging? So we'll see. There's definitely going to be some cool surprises and reveals when it comes to that, but I don't know if it'll be like under the bucket of like a day of Mini-Strap, or if it'll be more like Mini-Strap presents a week of announcements or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. There'll be more information about that probably closer towards the end of the month.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
The B2s were a surprise to us. We got an email and they showed up. I was like, B2 Super Rockets.
What are these?
It was so cool to just randomly get that.
Yeah.
So you surprised us on that one too.
They are awesome.
They're
so
super
chunky,
cool. Yeah.
It's so fun to play with.
The miniatures are amazing, and
they look great.
And Dallas had a blast because he got to design a couple of new heavies for them. So like the rocket pod hands.
The rocket pod hands are great.
He got to do that from scratch because we were like, well, we need a couple of different options for these things. And we talked to our partners at LFL, and he's like, can I just make some ideas and throw them at you? And they were like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And so he's like, I got to do rocket pod hands. So he drew the rocket pod hands. He's like, they have to say yes to this or I'm going to be so sad. And that was one of the ones that they picked to be like cool with. So
that's awesome.
It was really neat. Yeah, it's always fun when we get to do that.
The smoke trails that half of them are riding on, such a huge upgrade from a clear stand.
Yeah.
They're great. They're just awesome.
Yeah, it's been a big thing. We always try, like, it's not always possible. The probe droids were one where like we just couldn't figure out how to do that without the clear flight stands. Obviously some of the speeder bikes, although as we've seen with the Jedi bark speeders that are coming, they can get pretty creative in that engineering and sculpting team with the smoke clouds. But it's just nicer, right? It's just kind of like, it keeps the immersion going if you can do it in a creative way. It doesn't quite look, like, oh, there's a plastic stick there. That kind of takes you out of the story. So they're always very good about that. They're pretty clever in that engineering and sculpting department.
Yeah, you guys are really upgrading everything every time we get more stuff.
Yeah, I finally got hands on with the new Sabine model.
Oh yeah,
She's one of my favorites. So shout out to whoever designed that one. That was great.
Yeah, it was an amazing sculpt that came in and a couple of the options and stuff. So really good upgrade there. They just continue to impress. Let me tell you, every time we go in, I'm like, oh, that looks way better than what I thought it would look like. And they're like, yeah, we'll do better the next time. I'm like, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, that's some good challenges you get to put forth.
Exactly.
For sure.
The amount of head options and helmet options in the Mando customizable boxes is also well done, because I think it's like 3 or 4, if I remember, unhelmeted, and then there's 3 different helmets you can put on them. So very, very impressive.
Our sculpting team is never shy about going whole hog on options, and oftentimes we have to pull them back and be like, no, you only get like this many choices. You get that.
You only get so many sprues per box.
With the Mandalorians, it was really interesting because of the way we wanted them to be customizable, because of the player interaction we wanted. We were kind of able to just be like, fill the frame. Like you can only use this many frames, but you can fill them to the brim as long as you make it work. And they did. And it was one of those like monkey paw wishes, because obviously the more options you provide, the more exacting the engineering becomes, because you have to make sure that each part's going to work on each different thing. And that obviously increases the complexity from their standpoint, but it's harder for them because they want to make sure the build experience is still very simple from the consumer end, from the player perspective. And so they were kind of like, yeah, we got to do all the things we wanted to do, and that was super cool, but it was really hard. And I was like, well.
I also noticed those are new sprues too, from like a new manufacturer. Look like they say from Poland, and they're kind of a darker color and thicker almost.
So we've been expanding and kind of diversifying since the tariff situation, obviously last year, with the U.S. and kind of the craziness around that. So we started really exploring different options and testing out different manufacturers. So the Mandalorian leader and operative are from a new factory that is in Eastern Europe. So we tried them out, and we've got a couple of different things. We're obviously the goal is to kind of like find partners that are great to work with and that deliver the quality and experience that we want, and then we'll kind of like rezone in on that, because it's always easier to work with like 1 or 2 trusted partners than it is for everyone. But we did wind up in a situation where we had a lot of exploration going on, so players will probably notice a couple of differences between things, and our commitment is always to maintain the same quality even if we're going somewhere else than we have traditionally. And some of that, it's been a process and a wild time, but
it's been great. I've had fun messing with it. I thought I was being funny. I was like, you know what? Din has a Darksaber, Sabine has a Darksaber. I'm gonna build Bo without a Darksaber. You know who probably is the best with the Darksaber right now? The one I didn't use the Darksaber for, so I'm probably have to build another one.
There you go. I mean, there are worse things in life, I guess. Or you just say it's on her belt. She's not using it at the time,
That's what I have to do every episode.
That's right. It's on her belt. It's fine.
For sure. So with the Mandos coming out, we just talked about Bo being. What's your favorite Darksaber wielding?
My favorite Darksaber? In game it's probably Bo, because you just get so much benefit from it.
You do.
Sculpt-wise, I think the special edition Mando.
He does look really
the
cool.
Din, like they did such a good job of just making it feel heavy. And that was one of the big things when we talked about, what are we going to do for the special edition miniature, and we were like, well, Din doesn't have the Darksaber option in his box, so that would be a perfect opportunity to do it. Especially because we knew we were going to give him the chance to take that upgrade with the Mandalorian army and everything. And so then we started talking about poses, and Dallas really zoned in after watching several of the episodes where he uses it. He's like, it's so heavy for him. Like, I really want to get that idea of like he's just making the big swing. And they really knocked it out of the park. Like, you just feel the weight when you look at it. So from a miniatures perspective, I love that version. But from a gameplay perspective, it's like, you give it to Bo. Like, why would you not? Right?
Those are really great. I do love me some Gar, because he just gets that speed 3 charge. Is always so fun, but I'm also a bad guy player, so biased.
It
I
is.
guess.
It works out well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, we really appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to say before we let you go? I know you're a busy guy.
Since I know that you all have some Marvel Crisis Protocol viewers and listeners as well.
Yes, please.
The long anticipated and oft delayed MCP character update is coming August 10th.
August 10th.
August 10th.
Right. 2 days after my birthday, I get a present.
So I know we're sitting in August 1st, and I have no doubt. I haven't checked social media yet, but I'm sure there's people being asked. It's August. Where's the update? August 10th. You got the actual
We
date.
got a confirmed date.
That's right.
I like it. Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you, Don, as always, for joining.
Yeah.
Shogun, thank you, Will.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Bye.